Hello. Okay, for those of you returning to the channel, welcome back. And for those of you that are new here, that have just stumbled upon this video, then thank you for joining me. And if you find yourself wanting to stick around to follow just some random Welsh geek ramble on about film and TV, then please hit that subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot to me. And yeah, welcome to my top 10 moments in film from 2025. This is going to be my final top 10 list where I'm looking back, reflecting and celebrating film in 2025. And these are going to be moments within the movies from last year that just really resonated with me for different reasons. These are moments that just really stood out and had an impact on me. That kind of just, whatever that be, evoking certain emotions, or just from a technical perspective, admiring how those moments were brought to life and constructed. Not every moment in this list is going to be from a movie that was in my top 10 favourite films of last year. You know, at the end of the day, you're going to have movies that you might have just thought were fine, were okay, they might have been pretty bad. But there's always or usually something within those movies that stand out and sort of show the potential of what could have been, or just a moment that kind of just really worked for you, but it just happened to be in a film that overall just didn't quite work, that just didn't quite click for you. But these may still be movies that have moments, have the odd moment within them that made an impact on you, that left an impression, that stayed with you long after the credits rolled. Before we do jump into my top 10 moments, I do have a honourable mention that I really don't feel like I've spoken enough about, you know, when it comes to reflecting on last year. This isn't a movie I feel like I have recognised enough or spoken about enough, and it's an incredible movie. It's one of my favourite movies of last year, and that is Warfare, directed by Ray Mendoza and Alex Garland. And the movie itself is just like one moment. It's about 1 hour and 20, I think, 1 hour and 30 minutes. And it just focuses on this one moment where this Navy SEAL platoon sort of goes into enemy territory, and it just kind of really focuses in on how these Navy SEALs, how these humans react within that moment. And I loved it. It's a great movie. And due to the way the movie was constructed, it just sort of swallows you up within the story. And it was an intense, riveting, incredible experience that, if you've not checked it out, please do. Warfare was one of my favourite movies of last year, and it is a honourable mention because, you know, the film itself, it hasn't got that kind of traditional structure to it when it comes to its narrative. It is just more like there's just this one moment during a time in history that they are bringing to life. And it's an incredible experience where I actually felt like I was there with these Navy SEALs. Again, pure cinema. And so, yeah, Warfare is my honourable mention. And before we start, I need to mention that there are going to be spoilers throughout this video. I will mention the name of the film before I start describing the moment. So if you haven't seen that movie, stop, because I am going to go into spoilers. And so with all that being said, without further ado, let's jump straight into number 10. So in at number 10 was a 2024 release for the States, but over here in the UK it was released in the January of 2025, and that is Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, a movie that I admired, I absolutely loved. And there is one certain moment within that movie that just really stood out, that kind of really had an impact on me, that evoked an array of emotions from me. It was a moment that I just didn't expect to affect me in the way that it did. And that is the final moment with Ellen Hutter and Count Orlok. And it's a very tragic moment. You know, she's sacrificing herself, And the way in which that scene plays out, like the entire movie is constructed in the way that has this kind of very slow burn, this kind of very slow momentum that gradually builds as the story progresses and sort of climaxes within that kind of final 5 to 10 minutes. And it's a climax that just really hit me in a way that I wasn't expecting it to, because I had this sort of mix of emotions. You know, it's a moment that's tinged with sadness, and I'm feeling emotion for both characters here. Yes, Count Orlok is a monster, but with what I felt like they were exploring thematically and sort of what is really going on here within this moment, just the entire scene, it is incredibly powerful, I felt. And the performances also elevate this moment. The way in which Count Orlok just looks at the sunrise and he just cries out in pain, and I was like, whoa, it gave me goosebumps, it gave me chills. But again, it was almost challenging me because I'm feeling emotion, I'm feeling sadness for not only Elend's character, but of the character of Count Orlok. But when you sort of dig deeper and kind of really sort of look into sort of, or dig into the, you know, sort of the tragic nature of both these characters, that moment, that climax, in just how it plays out, the music, the performances, it's just an incredible moment that left a real impact on me. It's a moment that's kind of just burnt into my brain, is burnt into my memory. So yeah, Nosferatu is in at number 10 for me. In at number 9, and it's Weapons, directed by Zach Gregor, and it's the moment where Principal Marcus kills his husband Terry by the command of Gladys. It's an absolutely brutal moment, and it is one of those moments, one of those very few moments last year that really I really found unsettling to watch, to experience, due to sort of the brutality that you witness within that moment. But also, I just admired in how that moment was brought to life within the frame, in how it was actually framed. You know, you get just the right amount of glimpses of the death, the camera pulls away just at the right moment. It's done in a way that I thought was incredibly effective and sort of really just heightened the moment. You know, the moment is elevated due to how it was shot and just how it played out, the performances. It's another tragic moment, and it's also effective due to what is being explored thematically within its story, within this moment. And with all those layers, it just adds to what is a very effective experience, or a very effective moment within a film. And I just remember sitting there going, fuck. And it got under the skin. It was unsettling. It was disturbing. And it's very rare these days for a movie to do that to me, because, you know, I've been watching R-rated movies and 18 films, you know, from a very young age. And so I have become quite desensitized to violence in movies and all of that. And so for a film to still do that to me, to have that effect on me today, is an achievement. And I loved Weapons. It's a fantastic movie. It's a great movie. And, you know, it's full of moments that just sort of knocked me off my feet. And the scene with Marcus killing his husband under the command of Gladys was one of those moments that was truly horrifying. And a lot of that was due to how that scene, how that moment was constructed, how it was framed. And so, yeah, Weapons, Marcus killing Terry is in at number 9 for me. In at number 8, it's 28 Years Later, directed by Danny Boyle. I love this movie, and the moment that I'm going to talk about here is where Spike and his father, Jamie, they are escaping the mainland. They're running across the causeway to their village, and they are being pursued by this alpha, this infected alpha. And just the way in which that entire scene is brought to life, the way in which it's framed, constructed, the sound design, just the visual look, how the camera is used, you know, it's very Danny Boyle, and just what is brought to life here within this moment was just incredible. It's intense, it's suspenseful, you can feel the fear, you can sense the fear, and the entire moment is constructed in a way that feels like when you get a nightmare. You know when you get one of those nightmares and you're running away from something and you keep looking back and you're not really getting anywhere. You're running, you're really running, you're running as fast as you can, but you look back and you're in the same spot. It's like you're not moving. That's what this moment does. It's almost like it's taken that aspect of a nightmare and just recreated it within the frame. And it's a great moment. Again, like I said, with all those other aspects from a technical perspective, it was one of those moments that really just sort of stayed with me. You know, you could feel the horror, you could feel the tension, you know, you could hear that this alpha running after them, he's chasing after them, and it's a fantastic scene. It's a great moment. And it's just one of those moments that swallows you up, because of all of those different aspects, all of those different elements in how they just sort of brought it together, brought it to life. It's a great moment, it's a great scene from a film that I absolutely adored last year, and that is Spike and Jamie being chased by the Alpha from 28 years later. In at number 7 is Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler. Another movie with so many great moments. But the moment that I'm going to talk about here is where we've got Sammy, who plays the song I Lied to You. And the way the scene sort of plays out, and you get these different musicians, these different artists from different eras. It's an incredible scene. Just the way in which that moment plays out, the way in which the camera is used, how music is used within this story overall is just incredible. How music is used to really kind of bring the themes that they're exploring within this story to life within this film is just incredible. And this moment with Sammy playing I Lied to You is one of the standout moments. Just how it came together from every aspect, from every element, visually, you know, technically, the sound, the music, the performances, and it's a very hypnotic and mesmerizing scene to experience. And I just remember watching it with this massive grin on my face, going, "Fuck!" What they had achieving here was just incredible. That's how I was feeling, and I was just smiling because it's like, you know, it's a moment that is saying so much with what they are exploring thematically within the story. It's a very powerful moment, and there's a lot of those moments throughout the film, but this was that one moment, due to how it was all constructed and how it sort of played out, that kind of just really stayed with me. So yeah, Sammy, I Lied to You is in at number 7 for me. In at number 6 is One Battle After Another, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, and it's the car chase scene. Now, this is a moment that, as a film overall, shouldn't have really worked, because I did have issues with it. I didn't come out of One Battle After Another loving it like a lot of people did. I thought it was a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I really liked it, but I didn't come out of it loving it. But there was a moment that I did love, that I actually admired because of how this moment was brought to life. And that is the car chase scene. I mean, it is an incredible moment. Just the way in which the camera is used. You know, the camera is attached to the front of the car, and it kind of has this Alfred Hitchcock vibe to it. And like I said, it's a moment that kind of shouldn't have worked, because the movie overall failed to pull me in emotionally, for me to really get behind these characters emotionally. But yet, this moment still had that intensity that it needed for me to get caught up within that moment. It had this effect on me that just swallowed me up, and I wasn't expecting it, due to how I was sort of kind of feeling when it came to the characters within the film. It's a fantastic moment, and I just love how the movie was shot overall. You know, it's shot on 35mm using VistaVision cameras. You've got that grain within the frame. It just adds so much to the experience. You know, it adds so much sort of authenticity to the experience. I just admired this movie from a technical perspective, and that is why the car chase scene from one battle after another is in at number 6 for me. At number 5, it's Predator Badlands, directed by Dan Trachtenberg. I'm a massive Predator fan. I absolutely admire the original movie. I'm even a big fan of the second Predator film. I didn't come out of Predator Badlands loving it, but I liked it a lot. I had a lot of fun with it. I did enjoy it. But it's a very different Predator movie as well, and that is something that I kind of grappled with, you know, when it came to that movie, even though I feel like Dan Trachtenberg did a really good job at giving us a Predator movie that was very different. It was original, it was refreshing, you know, to just have not just another Predator sequel, but something that kind of really explored and something that really kind of expanded upon the mythology and inject new life into the franchise. He definitely achieved that, but I didn't come out of it quite loving it. But there is a moment that I absolutely admired, and it's the first 5 to 10 minutes where you've got Dec, his brother Qui, and his father. And Dec is trying to prove himself to his father, but it's not good enough. His father thinks he's a runt, and he commands his brother Qui to kill him. It's an incredible scene. I never thought I'd find myself watching a Predator movie from the perspective of a Predator and feeling emotion, you know, feeling a sadness for a Predator. And it's because of how this entire scene is brought to life. It's incredible what Dan Trachtenberg did manage to achieve in this opening 5 to 10 minutes, and I feel like it's because of that opening 5 to 10 minutes that allowed me to remain immersed within the entire experience, because like I said, it is a very different Predator movie. Like, I'm a traditional fan of the franchise. I love those first 2 movies, yes, even Predator 2, and I absolutely admired what he did with Predator Killer of Killers, which was this anthology animated movie that also came out last year, which I loved. But I think it was very important for Dan Trachtenberg to have achieved what he did within that 5 to 10 minutes, to keep people like myself, to have the fans like myself sort of remained within the story. Because for that first 10, 15 minutes, I was caught up emotionally within the story of Dec, and I would never have expected that, but I was on board because I just love the setup. I think it's an incredible setup. I love how everything is brought to life with the practical effects, the suits. The opening 5 to 10 minutes of Predator Badlands with Dec, his brother Qui, and his father is in at number 5 for me. In at number 4, and it's Begonia, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. Apologies if I've pronounced that incorrectly there. Another one of my favourite movies of last year. I loved Begonia, and the final 10 to 15 minutes of this movie was incredible. Like, the entire experience for me was just incredible. It just did a wonderful job at subverting expectations and sort of putting me on this ride where I just ended up feeling like I just didn't have a clue what was going to happen, who was telling the truth, and I just found that to be an amazing experience, because it's a film that played with you, it's a film that toys with you. And the final 10 minutes for me, I was just beaming. I was grinning ear to ear. Just the way in which it all plays out, where you got Michelle and Teddy going to the office because she's promised that she'll take him to her mothership, you know, where all the Andromedans are. Michelle ends up getting wounded by the blast. She's in an ambulance, and then she ends up going back to the office, and she teleports to the mothership. You know, it's absolutely absurd. It's batshit crazy, but it worked. You know, when you've got that scene where she teleports to her ship, it's like it's something ripped out of the original Star Trek series. You know, it's an actual set. And just, yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I think for me, the moment, like the entire film is great, but just how it sort of builds up until that moment, and then how that final 5 to 10 minutes plays out for me was just perfection. I loved it. From the music, the performances, to how the camera is used, to sort of how absurd it gets, but at the same time keeps its feet firmly grounded. Like, it's very rare to experience a movie like this, but I feel like it goes as absurd as it does, as crazy it does, but still kind of remain grounded due to what they are exploring thematically. It's a movie that has black comedy, and it's incredibly effective. You know, there's a few films we had last year that were black comedy, and it's my kind of humour. I prefer dark humour, and not many movies pulled it off, but Yorgos Lanthimos achieved it here. So yeah, Begonia is in. The final 10 minutes of Begonia is in at number 4 for me. In at number 3, and it's Weapons again. And it's another moment. It's kind of similar to how I felt with Nosferatu, you know, the ending of Nosferatu. And this is a moment that I just wasn't expecting to affect me in the way in which it did. And to sort of evoke the emotions from me in which it did. But it also, you know, it kind of makes sense as well. But it's a great moment, it's a brutal moment, it's a grotesque moment, and it's a moment that just stayed with me. And it's the moment where Alex, the son of the parents that have been bewitched by Gladys, and he uses or replicates Gladys's spell against her, and basically all the children that have been kidnapped turn against Gladys and chase after her through this town, through this village. And it's incredible. And just the way in which it sort of evokes, for me anyway, personally, like, I'm not saying everyone is going to feel the same way like I did when it came to this moment, but I kind of teared up a little bit. I was quite emotional. But also, it's a grotesque moment. It's a brutal moment. It's horrifying. You know, you've got kids ripping a woman to pieces. And just how that entire scene plays out. Like, in moments, it's quite funny, but it's the right amount of humour. Just how the camera is used. And, you know, it's a moment that, yeah, you do feel a sense of joy because the kids have escaped. You know, they have caught their captor. They've killed her. But these are kids. Their innocence have been taken. And it's such an incredibly layered and deep experience. Like, the entire movie is very layered and deep. And this particular moment, I mean, it has so many tones to it. You know, when it comes to the humour, the horror, the tragic nature of its story, it has all these layers. And tonally, it just worked beautifully. And like I said, it was a moment that really caught me up emotionally. I wasn't expecting it to, and I did question myself again, you know, like with Nosferatu, why am I, you know, should I be upset by it? But it's because of the experience that leads up until that point, you know. And I think Zach Greger did a wonderful job within the writing and within the construction of this movie in sort of really getting you emotionally involved with this story. It was an incredible experience, another one of my favourite movies of last year, and a moment that stayed with me. And it's because it was another moment that challenged me, because you've got such an array of emotions within that moment, and it questions, well, I found myself questioning myself, like, you know, like, oh, should I be feeling like that? And it is a brutal, grotesque moment, but it's very tragic. It's a moment that has a hint of humour that works in it. And yeah, you do get a sense of joy because these kids have had their revenge. So yeah, the kids killing Gladys from Weapons is in at number 3 for me. In at number 2, and it's 28 years later again, and it's the final 10 to 15 minutes where you've got Spike, his mother, and Dr. Ian Kelson, and you have Spike's mother accepting her fate. She's gonna die, and Dr. Ian Kelson aids her with that. And just even talking about it, it was an incredibly powerful moment that I just was not expecting. I love 28 Years Later, and I just feel like how the movie transitioned into these final moments with Spike and his mother and the Doctor was just incredible on every level. You know, the music, the score is incredible. It really elevates and heightens the emotions within the moment. And it's a scene, like, I don't like showing emotion in public. And it's a moment that caught me off guard, and it just knocked me off my feet, and it made me cry. And I'm talking like ugly crying here. Like, tears are running down my face. I'm trying to hold it back, but I can't. At the same time, I don't give a fuck, because I am swallowed up within the drama of the movie, within the experience, and it's such an incredibly effective moment. It is very devastating, it's tragic, but just the way in which it's done, through the performances, the writing, and the Danny Boyle's direction, it is a moment that just, really did stay with me. When it comes to movies from last year, when it comes to moments, it was one of those moments that really left an impact on me. The Spike and his mother and Dr. Ian Kelson in the last 10 to 15 minutes of 28 Years Later is in at number 2 for me. And in at number 1 is a movie that I didn't come out loving. I liked it, I had fun with it, I enjoyed it, but I was a little bit disappointed with it as well. It had problems. And that is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, directed by Christopher McQuarrie. Come on, that biplane scene. That is cinema. I have never watched a movie before, whether it be in the cinema or on the TV, and have my stomach sink or have my stomach drop. I felt like I was there on the plane with Tom Cruise. Just the way in which that scene is constructed, where you've actually got Tom Cruise performing the stunts up in the air. You've got actual planes in the air. No CGI, and if there is CGI, it's very limited. And just how they position and use the cameras within that moment. Fuck. What a moment in cinema. And it's pained me to sort of, you know, when it comes to Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, it pains me when I say that it's a film that just didn't quite work for me. You know, I liked it, but it was a disappointment. It didn't quite click. You know, it has very obvious issues within its first half, but you can't deny the craftsmanship that goes behind bringing to life these movies like Mission Impossible. You know, the work that goes into trying to create the most authentic, grounded, realistic experience that they can. I mean, it's good old-fashioned traditional filmmaking. You know, it's classic filmmaking where what you are witnessing within the frame actually exists. It's been brought to life right in front of your eyes, you know, within the frame. And this is filmmaking that we don't get enough of today. And I think it needs to be talked about more. It needs to be discussed more. It needs to be recognised more. Because I feel like, yes, The Final Reckoning may have not been the Mission Impossible movie that we wanted, but it achieved so much in other areas, especially just in how it was all brought to life from a technical perspective. It's an incredibly intense, it's an incredibly fun moment, and I just remember grinning and having the time of my life in that moment. Like I said, I felt like I was there. It was a scene that just swallowed me up within that moment, and I felt like I was on the plane. And when the plane does this kind of drop, my stomach went with the plane, and I'm like, oh my god. And for them to have achieved that, I thought was just an incredible an incredible achievement. And yeah, for me, when it comes to moments in movies last year, the biplane scene from Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is in at number 1 for me. And that is because of the craftsmanship, the talent that went, and the effort that went on behind the scenes to bring that moment to life. So yeah, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, the biplane scene is in at number 1 for me. And yeah, that's it. They are my top 10 moments in film from 2025. But what are yours? Were there anything that you disagreed with me on or agreed with me on? You know, were there some questionable decisions? Were there some questionable choices in my list? Let me know below and let's get a discussion going. And remember, if you've made it this far in the video and you do find yourself wanting to stick around to follow just some random Welsh geek ramble on about film and TV, then please hit that subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot to me. And just another big thank you to everyone that has supported the channel, whether it be liking, commenting, subscribing. It means the world to me. I'm about to hit 560 subscribers, and it will always overwhelm me that so many of you already do want to follow just some random Welsh geek ramble on about film and TV and pronounce things incorrectly and all of that. This year is all about me sort of getting out of my comfort zone, and I am going to be trying a few different things this year. And one of those will be streams, live streams. I'm going to be doing more live content this year, which will be one of those things that's pushing me out of my comfort zone. But I did it last year as a birthday special, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's enough rambling from me. That's it from me for now, guys. Thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll be catching you guys soon.